Welcome to Black Voices in Distilling, brought to you by American Distilling Institute, the voice of craft distilling, in collaboration with Business and Bourbon. Do better business through building deeper relationships. This week's guest is Drew Fox of 18th Street Distillery. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into our newest episode of BVID. This thing has been going off. It's been amazing. It's been a ton of fun. We've had some fantastic guests, but today I have the fantastic Mr. Fox. And let me tell you, I'm super excited to hang out with this gentleman. Drew, I had the pleasure of meeting and hanging out with last year at the ADI conference. And now we've got you on the show, man. And I see you got that beautiful still behind you. There we go. Well, look at that. Look at that. So, Drew, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Well, again, I appreciate you carving out some time out of your busy schedule because I know you're up there killing it. And so every moment that you're taking away, it's an honor to us and to what we're doing over here with American Distilling Institute and B&B, and just exposing the industry, exposing the world to phenomenal people like you. So as we get this thing started, my first question to you is I need to know your origin story, man. Share with us how you got into this business.
Yeah, I mean, by way of, I first opened a brewery in 2013. I was the first African-American brewery owner in the state of Indiana, and I opened my first brew pub in Gary, Indiana, and it just took off from there. I've always had a love for, science, food, anything beverage. It's kind of instilled, ingrained in me, especially the food and beverage area. And I worked in food and beverage in the hospitality industry, for over 25 plus years. In hotels and private clubs. And, whiskey was kind of the natural progression. I drink a lot of it, kind of grew up around it.
Yeah.
And most of the science between brewing and distilling is, almost 95% the same. And when our state started opening up small artisan permits for distilleries, I said, we're going to do this, and we're going to do it extremely well.
Drew, one of the common kind of themes that I hear, or origin stories, is that, folks that had started in beer and then got into whiskey or distilling in general. So Can you tell me a little bit about that journey for you?
So I worked in food and beverage. And so part of my daily job was basically making sure we bought the best product for either the hotel, the restaurant, or the bar. And so, my weekly progress was meeting with distributors who were bringing in, beer, wine, and spirits, and, fell in love with beer. I mean, I'm born and raised in Chicago. So at that time, Chicago had a few known breweries, Goose Island being, the big major player at that time. And then when I moved to Indiana for a little bit, Three Floyds was the largest player on the beer side there. So then I started home brewing, found out that I really, really loved it, loved the science part about it.
Yeah.
And said, I got to do something different. I'm tired of making other people rich and, not being happy. And so I got after it. I'd, raised some money through Kickstarter and, got some private investors.
Oh, you started through Kickstarter?
Yeah.
That's how you started. Fantastic. Okay.
Yep. So raised some money and then, kind of went from there, scrapped up the rest of the cash and then opened the pub and, kind of the rest is history.
What do you think? I mean, you exceed, so you had a 25-ish mark and you killed it. So what do you, I just want to drill down on that a little bit more. What do you really attribute the success of that to? Was it that people kind of digging your story and your ability to tell the story and the vision, or what was, and from your opinion, what do you think?
I'm not a storyteller, so, we hired a storyteller to help, make sure what we're talking about was accurate.
Yeah.
But think about it. The first African-American brewery owner in the state's history. That's a lot.
Wow.
It goes, and the gravity of that, but also opening a brewery in Gary, Indiana, which has so many bad connotations. And, there was a lot of people saying, why would this guy do that? full of experience. Why would he want to go ahead and do that and open in Gary? At the time I lived in Gary, I got tired of seeing all the bad stuff that was being written up about Gary. And, I easily could have put this brewery in downtown Chicago, but it was important for me to showcase and let people know that you can do just about anything if you have the right support, which we did, and really just get after it. And we did.
Nice. So fast forward to today. So you're brewing and you're distilling. So where are you guys kind of like focusing on your distribution and your sales? Are you owning that area? Are you expanding outside of Indiana, Illinois? Where can we get your products?
Yeah, the one thing we learned about when we built the brewery and we expanded the brewery is that taking care of the home is really important. So when we expanded the brewery, we're in Chicago, we're in Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, and some of that to me, felt, disingenuous, because you want to expand, you want people to have access to your product, but I always felt that we had so much more room to grow in our home state, in obviously Indiana, but also in Chicago. So for the distillery, we're keeping as much of it as home. Most of our distribution is happening here in the state of Indiana. We do a little bit of distribution in Chicago, again, my hometown, and through our tasting lounge. So basically, most of our distribution is right here in the state of Indiana, and in our tasting lounge. It gives us a nice way to keep our costs low, but also engage with our customers and find out what they want, and really driving. We are a homegrown distillery first, and our community around us and surrounding communities are really the ones who are supporting our efforts and distilling every day. So we don't have any intentions of expanding. Again, we want to really focus on our state and make sure we understand that before we go, going into 20 or 30 other states, and making sure that everything we do is consistent.
I've had the privilege of being involved with a lot of different businesses. And, I will tell you that 9 years heading into 10, that's an amazing accomplishment. So kudos to you, man. So to make it that long, I want to ask you, what do you attribute to the success that you've had? Like what's got you to this point? Is it a specific ethos? Is it what's your focus? Because there are people listening to this, they want to be the next Drew Fox.
The most important thing was, in the brewery side, we had over, 75 people at one point. And it was hard to listen to everyone as an owner, as a brewer, as the guy who's out selling the beer. And so, when we opened the distillery operation, I felt that was important as an owner to listen to my staff, to listen to the community, and really try to inspire others to want to do better for themselves, which inspires me every day to go out and be creative on the distillation side, the fermentation side, but more importantly, to challenge my staff also to be creative and inspire them. And I know for a fact over the last, going to 4 years, that's really hit home with me. I'll be 51 this year, and as you get older and wiser, the listening part really does pay off. But also I want to inspire people to do things, and I don't think we do enough for that as business owners. And that's how I see people growing, by being inspired and allowed to share their inspiration with others. And so that's part of my success as of late. But more importantly, surrounding yourself around people who are much smarter than you, who are intelligent, much more intelligent than you, but also knowing that when you make mistakes, that it's okay, and learning from those mistakes as a business opportunity to grow and share. Most of the time when we make mistakes, we beat ourselves up for it and say we shoulda, coulda, woulda. But I use that as a vehicle to learn and again teach others. And so, there's a lot, and I have an amazing partner, which is my wife, who's just always giving me positive encouragement. but also the people in the industry that I work with, just to help you forge ahead and say, you may be this small, and that's all that matters, but take that with a grain of salt and just keep inspiring people and yourself to do better.
Love it. Love it. You made mention about surrounding yourself with quality people, right? And people that are smarter than you. That's a challenge. I mean, how did you find those people? Because I think that's something that universally we've accepted. Like, listen, you better have a good team around you, but it's hard to find those people. Yeah. What did you do?
I was listening to this TED Talk a while back, and I think it was Esther Gates, and he's local here in Chicago, and he lives in my neighborhood, and we met a few times. And the one thing he said is, you have to look at everyone's aspects in their lives, but you want to look for talent, because it's hard to train talent. You can train skills, but it's hard to train talent. And so you have to basically be willing to spend the time, the resources to seek out that talent, and in turn, again, share your knowledge to help build upon a talented team. I love training people. I love giving them the skill set to do the things that they want to do. But it's a small pool of talented people that we go after and look for. It's very small. I mean, we're in Chicago. We're on the border of Chicago and Indiana. So there's a lot of talented people out there, but you got to spend the time to dedicate yourself to look for those individuals, and then again, share your story and say, hey, why, tell them why they should work for you, and use their talents to help you grow and help the business grow.
So what do you look for when you are interviewing folks? What are those qualities that you look for?
There's three things I look for. One is the aptitude to want to continue to educate yourself. I think sometimes we get so stuck on degrees. I have a PhD, I have a master's, but we forget that continuing education is really important. So I look for someone who's going to help educate me, as well as me educating them. I don't care if they have a PhD or master's, but it's how we share the common knowledge of the goals that we want, and continuing education is one of them. If you have someone who's closed-minded, who doesn't want to learn or doesn't want to share their knowledge, then that's probably not going to be the right fit for us, because we're all about knowledge, we're all about sharing. So I look for that for one, and the other is their appetite for risk. Someone coming into this business, I want to know what their appetite is for risk, because I want it to be also calculated, but I also want them to tell me, hey man, that's your risky proposition that you're proposing, but here's all the mathematical components. Here's all the due diligence that we've done, and here's where the risk is worth, and the reward is worth it. So I want someone who has some analytical experience as well. And lastly, I want the most common thing you think is, I want that person to be a human, and show the human side of them, and not constantly look at numbers and analytics, but I want that person to share their stories of despair, hardship, because that's what humanality is. And I think more importantly for me, I want to see that human side of the person first before the other things. So
you made mention of risk. So you started this brewery and you're doing well, and then in 2017 you're like, okay, I'm going to start the distillery. Now I understand that the science is similar, but you're taking on big risk, a new risk there. What made you make that decision?
It was, having serious conversations, with our banker, my wife, and we have a small group that we call the syndicate. It's bankers, it's lawyers, it's business people that I've surrounded myself with.
The syndicate.
That's kind of what we call it, because these people are smarter than me. So. And I said, everyone's asking you what's next. What are you going to do next? What drives you? And I said, I want to make whiskey. And I said, I want to make, damn good whiskey. But also, I wanted to be in a location that made whiskey before I started. So, Hammond had the largest distilling company in the country, in the 1910, 1920s. And so I wanted to bring that history back. But also I wanted to do it in a way where it was driven around our community. More importantly, we make some of the best corn in the country here in the state of Indiana. And I wanted to surround myself around farmers that understood my vision and the dream I was trying to achieve. And at the end of the day, me and my wife wanted to own something that was totally ours, that we respected, and that we wanted to but we want to respect the history and continue on that history and legacy for other African Americans or Latinos or brown people to come and want to do. And so that was a motivating factor for me. At the end of the day, man, I mean, again, look, I'm the first African American distillery owner in the state's history.
That's
and
awesome.
that speaks volumes. And I want people to know that they can achieve those goals if they work hard and surround themselves around talented people and just do the best you can and make the best possible product, but also lean on your community for support. And so I had all those things lined up. And it was definitely a challenge. I mean, every day is, but I live and love what I do.
Love it. So there is someone watching or listening to this right now that you have just inspired. That spark just started and they're like, you know what? I want to do this.
Yeah.
So I feel like one of the best ways that you can serve that person is to look at your own experience and say, hey, look, if I were to hop back in the time machine and go back to 2017 when you're about to open your distillery and say, hey, look, over the last 5 years, I've learned this. So this is that one piece of that one nugget, that one piece of gold that you should know before you start that might expedite your success.
That is a big one because, when I started this, I mean, I never thought about that, but I guess, at the end of the day, African-American history is usually told after the fact. We don't have the opportunity to tell our stories present day. And it's important for me, my wife, and my family, and the history that we start talking about the history now. African Americans in the distilling industry, it's probably 1%. It's the same as the brewery, or less than 1%. And so if we don't start talking about that history and engaging people to talk about that history, then we're forgotten about. It's all for nothing work that we put in every day. Yeah. And so you see, amazing individuals putting in amazing work. I could think of one person who's helped driving that home is you look at Fawn. Fawn is driving that bus for a lot of us. And a lot of us sometimes taking the back seat and say, hey, that's a lot of work. We don't want to do it. But we have to start telling our history now. And I don't want my history told in the past tense when I'm no longer here. I want people to know that, we started this distilling company in this state where there are no other Black people in the industry doing this. I want that history to be told now. So it can inspire other individuals to say, hey, yes, you can do it. But more importantly, that if they see a figure such as myself or Fawn or the others who are doing this, that they can lean on them and say, hey, listen, they've had the same challenges I'm going to have. Yeah. And I want that history told. The history is the biggest piece for me. Every day I walk through this building, when I touch the brick, when I touch the still, we're making history. And we need people to know that it's present day history. And we can talk about it now and not in the past tense, but we can talk about it in the present.
So as we get ready to close here, where can we enjoy your spirits? And let us know what you've got out in the market right now.
Sure. Right now, if you're passing through the state of Indiana or driving through, we're 22 miles outside of Chicago, the third largest economy in the country. So knock on that door. We're in downtown Hammond. We're at 5417 Oakley Avenue. Again, short drive from Chicago, but mainly you can find our stuff in, Total Wine, local Benny's, anywhere in the state of Indiana. We use our distributors, Johnson Brothers. But we have a beautiful tasting lounge. If you're passing through on a toll road or 8094, just stop in, and we'd love to, share our bourbon with you. We have rye whiskey, we have gin, we have rum, vodka, smoked whiskey. We're just creative engine here, so we're going to keep having fun with that.
Drew, again, this has been really a pleasure for me and a joy to talk to someone that is really a pioneer in this business. So thank you so much for taking the time to hang out. Thank you so much for, again, stepping away from your growing business and sharing your truth with us. If people want to reach out to you directly, Drew, There's someone, again, you're inspiring somebody. if people want to reach out to you directly, what's the best way they can reach out to you?
The best way is, Drew Fox on Facebook or Drew Fox on Instagram. That's the best place to reach out. We have an active team who plows through that stuff, or you can email me, Drew at 18thstreetdistillery.com. I'm actively checking my emails, doing distilling and packaging. So don't be shy. If you can't find me, reach out to you, obviously, and get my information. And I'm happy to share my knowledge.
Love it. Now I'm going to be I'm waiting for that fantastic Mr. Fox special edition bourbon that you're going to make. I hope I inspired.
Hey, you missed out. We just dropped our 4-year anniversary. That was last weekend.
Wow.
We had these beautiful boxes made. So when I see you, I hope I see you. That's our 4-year straight bourbon we dropped last weekend.
Well, so you'll see me at the convention in St. Louis, right? So that's happening. But Drew, I need to get my hands on that.
I got you covered.
We've got to make that happen. So whatever
I got your address.
Okay. Thanks again for everyone, listening to us, hanging in here, and being part of this story that we're trying to tell, and being part of this this amazing time in this industry when there's so many great voices like Drew that are out there doing some good. Well, Drew mentioned there's a small percentage, but that small percentage is thriving and growing every single day. So again, Drew, thank you again for inspiring. It's good to talk to you, brother. Go. I'm gonna hop on a plane and see if I can get up there and get that whiskey real soon.